Hey there, everyone. Okay, as you can see, I got the tractor here, the 4x4 build, completely stripped down. I meant to weld this in today, but I got rained out a couple different times. And now that it's nice out, it's too late to weld. It's after 7, and I don't really want to run the generator to run the welder, because I need to run it at 20 amps. And like everybody knows, I have to use the generator to use the welder. So anyways, this is all ready to be welded in as soon as I get a chance to do it. Here is what the mounts all look like. Also, I'll be trimming back on each side. But that's not really what this video is about. I'm thinking about doing a bit of a change on this build, but there's a couple variables in the build idea that I'd have to figure out and figure out a way around. I'm thinking about doing a side-by-side. I have enough parts, meaning body panels, to do a full side-by-side. Basically come out each side a half a distance of a tractor, and it'll be basically just from the firewall back, so pretty much from the engine compartment back. Everything up here at the front is not going to be changed. The clutch, at least the clutch linkage all in here, will not be changed. Most likely still have to run a jack shaft for the rear wheel and the front wheel drive. Only real difference is the chassis is not going to be not going to be lengthened as much. It's going to be widened. Also, the transmission may or may not be able to stay where it currently is, so that will actually help with some more linkages. And what I'll do is I'll still do a toolbox or a small bed on the back, but the bed will be able to be turned sideways. So basically the same size as the one on the truck, but sideways, and figure out something in that. But the actual rear tires will be moved back farther, and there'll be a chain drive, dual chain drive. I'll most likely lock this transaxle or keep it unlocked, and it doesn't really matter. If it's unlocked, I think you run dual chains no matter what. It's easiest to run dual chains, but it'd probably be easier having it locked. I wish I could get my hands on a Peerless 820. That would actually be perfect for this build, but those things are pretty hard to come by. But anyways, lengthen out the chassis a little wee bit in the back, and at the middle, basically do a side-by-side. Have the driver on the left, passenger on the right, and go from it at that. Have two dashboards basically cut and welded together, two stock Craftsman dashboards. Let me show you. Basically this dashboard right here will be the left or the right, doesn't really matter, and then I'll have one sitting right next to it. I'll cut off the dashboard from here and basically attach the other dashboard with the firewall and the side piece all together. You'd have one large battery box in there, so you'd have room for the battery box and a storage bin, like an army container, ammo box or something. It doesn't really matter, or anything really. You'd have unlimited choices on batteries. You could run a big truck battery, run a lawnmower battery, anything. So you'd have a lot more space. Basically, this here would be double the width. It's not going to be a wide side-by-side, but it will still be a side-by-side. It'd be a side-by-side Craftsman tractor. I don't know what the width would be as of right now. I might be able to keep with the stock rear end, but the tires would be in a bit. It may look kind of funny, but it may not. I would have to look into it. That's really my only issue, is running a chain drive to a straight axle in the back, and with all my gear ratios, figuring out all the front gear ratios to all the back gear ratios to make everything all work together. And there's one other issue I have, I'm not getting into right now. It's a spot I drive through. It's the width of the spot. As long as I don't exceed the width of that transaxle right there overly much, too much more than that, wider than that transaxle with the tires, I should be okay. But it will actually help even out the front from the back, and it may look pretty cool. I do have the stock steering box. I gotta put off to the side. Also, another issue is the clutch. I could either hide the clutch in the dashboard, so basically you have to put your foot into the dash, which I don't know about that. or try and lengthen the clutch rod out and have the clutch kind of in the stock location. But I have enough parts. It's either got enough parts to do a side-by-side, or I got enough parts to make it a lengthen it and make it to a dual seater, or I got enough parts to do a lengthen it, do front to back seating, and an engine test stand. I'm kind of leaning towards the side-by-side, but it's just with the rear end, that's kind of where I'm stumped at right now. How to do the rear end, and then also the shifting linkage. Either do a shifter that will come up between your legs, or try and hook up a fender shifter of some sort. I would prefer the fender shifter. It'd be a lot easier, but you're widening out the tractor itself. So I don't know how exactly the fender shifter would work. I also have enough fenders to do this. I would not use this one right here. This one's in really nice shape. I'd use this one and the one that's on the racer, and this one here would go on the racer. So it has the vinyl lining. I don't really want to cut this up. So what I do is I'd keep the center section and I'd cut the other fender in half right down the middle, and weld a section to here, weld a section to the other side, and that would create the extra wide tractor. If you think about how I'm doing it, and you know how these tractors are built, you know how I'm doing it. Because this pan here is from here up is the same, is all the same. So they hump out right here, but as long as I keep this hump here and I cut it right here, so as the fender comes along, it will come up into the hump, and basically this hump here would come out, and it should actually work out. So when I cut this, cut it right here, and when I cut the fender I'm going to be welding on each side, cut it dead center. It might actually just work out. It's steel. You can manipulate steel very reasonably easy anyways. So that's an idea I'm thinking about going with. But like I said, there's a couple things I got to figure out. The overall width that will be roughly, and the width of where I drive through to where I go get a lot of stuff done when I use my truck. So that the truck will go through, but this will be my primary vehicle that I'll be driving for work and for whatever else I do, my stuff. I need to make sure this will fit. So that's the main issue right there. As long as this will fit, I'll be good. That's if I widen out the rear end. Also, it needs to be able to fit even if I do a side-by-side without widening out the rear end. So I gotta look into that and figure out a few of the different variables on how to do this. I got all the ideas in my mind on how I want to do it. It's just making everything, figure it all out to make it work, which it should all work out. It's just a matter of putting it all together, and hopefully I don't fuck up, as I don't really want to destroy a bunch of good parts by cutting them in half and by welding them together, sort of thing. Also, with my OCD, I don't know what that's going to do to my OCD. So anyways, that's where I'm at right now, and that's an idea I'm thinking about running with. Instead of doing basically a back-to-back design, like lengthening it design, I'm thinking about doing a side-by-side. So I'll talk to them later. Please keep Redneck like always, and please try and comment. And like always, I love your input. Bye for now.